Okay, folks, I see that there are people who have joined in now. Let's actually get ahead and let's get started with today's session on crypto futures trading. Um, I see that I can already see a few very familiar faces and names coming in. Welcome to you all. Uh, just give me a second while I set up the screen and everything and make sure that everything is in place. Okay, looks like everything is in place, so we can get started. Okay, folks, welcome. Welcome again to another Learn with Mudrex webinar. I am really excited to have you all here again today. In today's session, I will be going through all the details regarding crypto futures trading and how to actually get started using our application. Um, if this is your first time joining us, again, hello and welcome. And if you've been part of our past sessions, our past Learn with Mudrex webinars, it's always great to see our community. Okay, so before we dive into today's topic on how to get started with crypto futures trading, let's just take a second and to talk about what's going on in the market right now, where we are in the market, and just get an understanding of how things are playing out. Okay. So right now, if I see the price of Bitcoin, we are currently hovering around 108K, around 108,719 to be specific. We're very close to breaking new all-time highs. We're also seeing some major news with altcoins starting to gear up. We saw just last week Solana had its first spot ETF in the US approved, and it's actually live trading now. And we've also seen some amazing regulatory wins in the US as well, with the Genius Act and the stablecoin laws that are coming into shape, right? Now, of course, I understand that markets can be emotional roller coasters. And if you have been in crypto for a while, you will know that better than anybody. Okay. So before I get started, I just want to get to know the audience a little bit more as well. I want to understand how long you all have been in the space. So just go ahead and drop a comment in the Q&A box on how long you've been in crypto. Just type the number, just drop a 1 if you just started this year, drop a 2 if you have been in the space for about a year or two, and drop a 3 if you're a pro. If you're a veteran from around 2017 or earlier, I'd love to know who you guys are. Okay, so let's just see what kind of crowd we've got. And let me take the, okay, so I see Siddhant 1, I see Varun 1, and I see a lot of 2, 3s. Oh, I see 3s as well. Okay, so I see that there are some veterans here. Nice, awesome. So I guess it's a mix then, and I will be catering to everybody here. As long as you go away with this session, understanding how you can use futures to profit, plus also some strategies that you can really leverage to have successful trades. All right. So I will go through all of that with all of you guys, okay, irrespective of how long you've been in this space. Okay. Now, personally, I remember my days, my early days. It was pretty confusing. It was exciting at the same time. And that's why we are doing these sessions, all right? Whether you're new or you've actually been around like some of the people that have been here since 2017, these webinars are designed to help you trade smarter ultimately, okay? And today's session is especially exciting because we're going to be talking about crypto futures trading, which honestly is one of the more advanced, and sometimes it can be a little intimidating as well, corners of the whole crypto market. But I promise you, by the end of this session, it's going to feel a whole lot more approachable. Okay, we're going to break it all down. I'm going to talk to you about what exactly futures is in the first place, what trading is, how it works, different strategies, how to build your own strategy, and we will even test and refine those strategies. Okay, so make sure you're tuned throughout this session, because there will be insight that I want you all to and pay attention to. Okay, Cool. Just a quick housekeeping um, thing here, this slide that you see right now. Please remember that this session is only for educational purpose. And any coins that I discuss during the session, I always urge the audience to continue doing your own research. All right. Also, keep the chat active. I'll be reading your comments as we go. And there will also be a dedicated Q&A section towards the end. So please do have your questions ready. This need not be futures based specifically. Even if you have some doubts on specific cryptocurrencies or coins that you're not too sure about, I am more than happy to answer your questions. Okay, cool. So let's get into it. Let's start with an introduction of myself. Um, for those of you who are just joining me for the first time, my name is Anush, and I'm part of the research team here at Mudrex. I've been in the crypto space for a little over 6 years now. Um, when I first got into crypto, let me tell you that things were very, very different. We did not have the kind of sleek platforms, user-friendly tools that we have today, or just the amount of information that we have access today was simply not there back then. Okay, it felt very different. Everything was slow, everything was clunky, and honestly, you had to really want to understand crypto to stick with it. Okay. Now, if you fast forward to today, look at where we are now. There are thousands of new tokens, new use cases, and of course, we've seen institutions, hedge funds, now even governments getting involved in this space. So it's been incredible to witness the amount of growth and adoption that's happened in just 5 to 6 years. Okay, and there is still so much more that can happen in this space, right? Now, of course, the journey hasn't been green candles every day. Uh, if you've been around for a while, you know what I'm talking about. I've lived through some pretty rough patches too, like during the COVID crash, when Bitcoin dipped to below $4,000, or you would remember the FTX episode or the whole Luna collapse, right? So those were some rough times, but you learn through those times as well. Okay. Now, over the years, I've also watched projects go up extremely fast and then vanish overnight. I've seen some hype cycles come and go, but if there is one thing that I've learned, it's that crypto moves extremely fast. Okay. It rewards those who actually take the time to learn, adapt, and think long term. Okay. And that's exactly why I'm here today, to help this world a little easier to understand, especially when it comes to futures trading, which can feel pretty new in itself. Okay. Um, Now, I do see some hands being raised. Just remember, guys, that I will definitely take your questions towards the end of the session. Any question you have, it can be platform specific. It can be, like I mentioned, if you have a coin in mind that you want me to discuss or analyze, I'll do that live for you over here. Okay. So just stick around for that. After this session, we will have that dedicated time as well. Cool. So let's go ahead. Perfect. Okay. So now that you got to know me a little, this is what we're going to be covering today, right? We're going to go it step by step. Firstly, understand what crypto trading is in the first place. Then we'll talk about the different types of trading strategies that you can use, how to make your own crypto strategy depending on your risk. Then also things to remember while making your strategy. I will spend some time talking about this as well. And finally, we will close the session with some risk management tips as well, because that is equally as important as placing your trade. Okay. And then, like I mentioned, we'll have a Q&A session towards the end as well. Okay. Okay. So let's just start with the basics, right? What is trading? Okay. At its core, trading is basically the process of buying and selling assets. These could be stocks, these could be commodities like gold or oil, or cryptocurrencies. Okay. And another thing is futures contracts. Okay. And the main goal over here is obviously to make profit from price movements. In other words, traders try to buy low and sell high, or in some cases, sell high and buy low if they're shorting the market. I'll get to exactly what shorting is as well. Now, while we're here, obviously, to talk about crypto trading specifically, I would just want to zoom out for a second and point out that trading has been around for a very, very long time. Okay, I'm not just talking about Wall Street in the 1990s or 1980s. Trading as a concept actually goes way back. Okay, in fact, some of the earliest forms of trading can be traced back to thousands of years. All right. Um, Right now, of course, as societies have evolved, we got more structured financial systems. We have stock markets, commodity exchanges, cryptocurrency platforms, and over time, all of these systems developed tools and strategies for trading that are still used today, and something that we will be discussing today. Okay, so just to say that trading is definitely not something that was invented by us crypto bros in a Discord server. That was definitely not the case. It has a long, long history, and crypto is just the latest tech stack or latest frontier in a centuries long evolution of financial markets. Okay. Now, that being said, crypto has some uniqueness to it as well, right? There are many twists in crypto that you need to actually take into account. For one, it trades 24/7. So there are no opening bells, there are no market closings, none of that sort, right? So based on this, you will actually see a lot of price swings, often much, much sharper than equities. And it's, of course, still relatively young as well. Now, this, of course, first thing that comes to mind is that it's very risky, right? I'm not saying that it's not, but the opportunity is there as well. Okay. But you need to know what to do and how to use the tools at your disposal. If you do that, if you put the time to learn the tools, the strategies in crypto, the volatility will actually be in your favor. Okay. You can use that volatility to profit huge in crypto. Okay. So here's the thing, because crypto markets are still maturing, there's a lot of room for everyday traders like you and I to carve out our own edge, especially if you're willing to learn and stay disciplined. Okay. So before we jump into strategies or futures contracts, risk management, and so on, it's important to just recognize that when we say trading, we're actually tapping into a practice that's been around for generations. We're just doing it in a brand new digital ecosystem right now. Okay. All right. Cool. So let's move on. Okay. So now that we have an idea what trading is, the next and question is, can I trade? And this is important for newcomers. This is a question that as well when I joined crypto. Which is the best platform to choose? Just remember with the right platform. Now, this might sound like a small decision, but honestly, it it perhaps is the most important decision when you are trading crypto. Okay. You firstly want to be using a platform that's secure, that's compliant. It gives you the tools, the necessary tools that you actually need, and the more critical. Okay. So you need a platform that offers a wide variety of trading pairs. So you're not just limited to trading Bitcoin or the larger cap coins. It has proper risk management tools like stop loss and take profit, all of which I'm going to be discussing with you how to do that as well. It gives you solid charting features, indicators, and some sort of real-time data so you can actually make your decisions. And above all, it has to be regulated and compliant. Okay. Because we've all seen what can happen when things go wrong on some exchanges. I don't want to name names, but without regulatory approval and compliance in place, it's not going to be good for you in the long term. Okay, take it from me, right? Uh, so I just want you all to remember this. Think of your trading platform like your workplace. If it's clunky, if it's sort of unreliable or unsafe, it's going to mess with your ability to execute trades strategically and effectively. But if it's smooth, powerful, and actually gives you the flexibility and control you need, you are definitely setting yourself up for success. That is, you're already on the right path. Okay. So that's number one that I want you all to walk away with. Now, now that we've covered, right, the importance, let's just talk a little bit more about what we've built here at Mudrex and why it could be a good choice for you, especially for anyone looking to get serious about crypto trading. Okay. We have spent years building a platform that's not only powerful, but also reliable, and we are fully compliant as well. And I really want to emphasize that because, see, honestly, the crypto space can feel overwhelming sometimes, but it doesn't have to be. Okay. Um, First, let's just talk about trading options. On Mudrex, you will get access to over 350 trading pairs, which gives you a ton of flexibility. Okay, so you can trade BTC, ETH, Sol. You can even trade other lower cap coins as well. All right. And when it comes to risk management, we've got you covered with built-in tools like I mentioned, stop loss and take profit orders. These are essential if you want to trade smart and protect your capital. Towards the later part of this webinar, I will be discussing why risk management is key. Okay, because when I first started crypto, I didn't really pay attention to risk management as much as I should have. But after I started putting in those tools in place, it took my trading game to the next level. Okay, and I really want you all to pay attention to that. All right. Okay, so I also want to highlight something that a lot of our users absolutely love is our dedicated Telegram channel for Mudrex futures traders. All right. In this channel, we regularly post futures trade signals. Okay. And let me just tell you this, that accuracy has been absolutely tremendous. Okay. I'm not just saying this. We've actually recorded an 80% success rate when it comes to your take profits being hit. Okay. I believe that it's a great way to actually ease your way into futures trading if you're not ready to build your own strategy yet. So I would just like to know right now. I hope that most of you in attendance today already are part of our Telegram community. If not, please just raise your hand and I will actually send you the link to the Telegram community personally as well. So I just want to be able to help you all so that you will be able to start futures trading the easiest way possible, right? So just raise your hand and I will send across the Telegram community for you. Okay, I see some being raised. I'm going to send the link to Manoj. I see. Okay, I am sending the link across. Varun, I see your hand is raised as well, so I'm going to send it across to you. Okay. Uh, Anybody else? Yes, Roshan. Yeah, so guys, just do join us here. Apart from the futures calls that we give, we also have a live trading session that happens every Thursday at 8 p.m. So you can actually see me and my co-host take a trade live on air so that you can follow along as well. Okay, so keep an eye on that. We usually post it um, like an update on the live stream within this channel, so you'd be able to join from there. Okay, Chandresh, I'm going to send this across to you as well. Okay, guys, I just keep it coming. I will send it. But for now, let's just go ahead with the session. Uh, uh, okay, cool. So before I go any further, right, I want to know from all of you here, how many of you have traded crypto futures in the Q&A box? Why being yes and being no, so that I get an understanding of how many of you have actually tried crypto futures in the past. Okay, I see N, I see majority seems to be Y. Nice. Okay, Siddhant is N. Okay, perfect, perfect. Yeah, I'd love to see a lot more ends actually, so that I can actually tell you about why futures trading is such a powerful tool in crypto. Uh, okay, cool. So I think it's like 50-50, which is great. Um, awesome. So let's go ahead then and let's actually dive into futures. Uh, Cool. So now that we've actually, covered the basics of what trading is and why having the right platform actually matters, let's move on to the main part of the session and understanding the different types of trading in crypto. Okay. Now, honestly, when someone says I trade crypto, that could mean a few different things. Okay. But broadly speaking, there are two main categories you should just know about. There is spot trading and then there is futures trading. Okay. So let's just start with spot trading. Okay. Um, this is the most straightforward type of trading. You're buying the actual crypto asset, whether it's Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any of your favorite altcoins, and it actually gets added to your wallet immediately. Okay. So let's say you go on to Mudrex and you buy one Solana at the current price. You now own that one Solana. You can hold it, you can transfer it, you can sell it later, whatever you want, it's yours basically, right? That's spot trading. Simple, pretty easy to understand. Uh, Now, spot trading is generally considered a long-term investment strategy. So it's perfect for people who want to just buy and hold over a long time, maybe months, maybe even years, right? A lot of folks are in it for the long haul here. So they're believing that the assets like Solana, Bitcoin, Ethereum will be a lot more in the future. Now, when it comes to placing your buy or sell orders in spot trading, you'll often see two options. You'll see one called a market order, and the second one will be called a limit order. So, again, let me just break these two concepts down for you very quickly. A market order is when you want to buy or sell immediately at the best available price. Okay, this is the most fast and simple way, but the exact price may vary slightly, especially if the market is volatile. Now, on the other hand, a limit order is when you say, I only want to buy Bitcoin if the price drops to like X amount, let's say 100K, or I'll only sell if it hits 120K. So your order sits there and it only gets executed if that price is met, right? It gives you more control in a way. So, but it also means your trade might not happen instantly. Okay, so that is one. Another thing worth mentioning, you don't always need to invest a huge amount at once. In spot trading, you can either lump sum invest, meaning you buy a big chunk in one go, or you can do something called an SIP, very similar to what you would do in equities as well. Basically, it stands for systematic investment plan. That's where you invest a smaller fixed amount regularly, like weekly or monthly, regardless of the price. And this is honestly a great strategy to average out your cost over time. And in crypto, you will often hear it as DCA, so dollar cost averaging. Okay. So that's basically spot trading in a nutshell. Simple, uh, and it's pretty effective for longer term investing. Okay. All right. Now let's go ahead and talk about futures. And I know that futures can be a little complicated, but honestly, once you get the hang of it, it's super simple. Sometimes easier than spot trading even. Okay. Okay. So in futures trading, you're not actually buying the asset. You're buying a contract that represents your prediction of where the price is going to go. Okay. So I'll simplify this, right? Let's say you think Bitcoin is going to rise from right now 108K to 115K. Instead of buying actual BTC, you can open a futures position that says, hey, I want to go long on Bitcoin. And if the prices rise, you make a profit based on that movement. Okay. So these are the two main directions you can trade in futures. You can go long, which means you expect that the price is going to go up. or you can go short, which means you're actually betting that the price will go down. Okay. So this is the sort of edge that futures gives you. You can actually profit when the market is falling. This is something you simply cannot do in spot, right? And this is the biggest advantage of futures trading, right? Um, Now, one of the most powerful, but also I stress this, that it's also the risky part, are tools like futures, are tools like leverage. All right. So, what is leverage? This is a term that you will come across a lot when you're trading futures. Okay. Leverage basically allows you to control a larger trade size with a smaller amount of capital. Okay. For example, if you use, let's say, 10x leverage, it means that with just $100 of your money, you can take a position worth $1,000, right? So if the trade goes in your favor, your profits are basically magnified. It's even more. Uh, and this is equally important, so are your losses if the trade goes the other way. Okay. So this basically brings us to something called liquidation. Okay. I'll explain what exactly liquidation is. Liquidation is basically what happens when your trade loses so much value that you basically no longer have enough margin. Okay. Or in simple terms, enough of your own money left in the trade to keep it open. So at that point, the platform will automatically close your position to prevent further losses, right? I'll use an example again here. Let's say you have $100 in a trade using 10x leverage. That means you're basically controlling $1,000 position. If the trade moves against you by just 10%, you've effectively lost your entire $100, and the system will liquidate your trade. Okay. So basically, liquidation means you lose all the money you put into that trade. Uh, it's not like a small loss. So it's basically a total wipeout of your position. That's why it's important to understand risk management, use stop losses, and never over leverage, especially as a beginner. Okay, this is, of course, I will be spending more time on this, but this is just a note right now. Okay. Now at Mudrex, we offer up to 100x leverage, but I strongly recommend starting low, especially if you're new. Um, Even experienced traders use very low leverage to manage their risks better. Okay. Uh, Now, in futures trading, there are two terms again that you'll hear a lot: target price or take profit and stop loss. These are both part of your risk management strategy. Okay. Your target price is basically where you want to exit the trade in profit. So maybe you enter a long trade at, let's use the BTC example, right? You enter a long trade at 108K and set your target at 115K. If the price hits that level, your trade will automatically close and you will lock in your profits. Okay, automatically. Now, a stop loss is the opposite. It's basically like your safety net. Um, it Think of it like this. It's where you tell the system basically, if the trade goes against me, get me out before I lose too much. So if your trade starts to drop to, let's say, 98K, and that's your stop loss, you exit automatically and basically will prevent any further losses. Okay. So using both of these tools, remember, is essential in futures trading. There's no compromises there. Okay, cool. All right, so let's go ahead. All right, now that we've understood the different types of trading, spot, futures, let's talk about something that sits at the very heart of successful trading, okay? And that is your strategy. Um, you need to know how to jump into a market with a plan, okay? If you don't, that is just pure speculation. You're basically just out here gambling if you don't have a plan, all right? So what exactly is a trading strategy? Now, at its core, a trading strategy is simply a fixed plan or method that you use to try and make these profitable trades. Whether that's by going long or short, or just knowing when to enter and when to exit the market. Okay, so basically, a strategy is just how you trade when you buy, when you sell, and last but not least, why you do it. Okay. If you have these processes in place, it removes emotion out of the equation. It actually gives you structure, and over time, it helps you become more consistent as well. Okay. And consistency is a very key word in trading. It matters way more than just getting lucky once or twice, right? Uh, Now, when we talk about trading strategies in crypto, there are generally two major types that traders use. One is technical strategies. These are strategies based on data from charts like price movements and indicators. You're not looking at the news or headlines here. You're looking at what the chart is telling you. Um, Now, if I think of some patterns or some indicators, uh, the most common ones would be the RSI, the relative strength index, the MACD, there are moving averages, and Bollinger Bands as well. All right. Another way you can do this is volume analysis. Basically, are people buying or selling in large quantities? Okay. So, for example, if you see Bitcoin breaking out of a key resistance level on high volume, high green volume, a technical trader might interpret this as a strong signal to actually buy or go long. Okay. Now, technical strategies work well because crypto is a very sentiment driven market, meaning people often react to patterns and momentum more than it does to logic or fundamentals. This is definitely the case in crypto, especially in the short term. Okay. Um, Now, the next is fundamental strategies. Now, this is the opposite approach. Instead of looking at charts, you're looking at the story behind the asset. Okay. Fundamental strategies are basically stuff like news and events, on-chain analysis, basically like wallet activity, number of active addresses on a particular network, transaction volumes. All of this comes under on-chain metrics. Then there is project fundamentals as well. What does the coin actually do? Who is building it? How is their community like? So these are the questions that you would ask when you do your project fundamentals. Okay. Now, let's say Ethereum, right, announces a major upgrade or Solana announces a big sort of partnership. That might be a buy signal for someone who's actually using a fundamental strategy, even if the chart hasn't moved yet, right? Now, most traders, and I would say this as well, that should use a combination of both of these. Okay. Maybe use fundamentals to decide what to buy and technicals to decide when to buy or when to sell. Right. And that is a great way to approach it. Okay. So think of it in a more well-rounded way. Don't always put everything into technicals and vice versa. Don't always put everything into fundamentals as well. All right. Cool. Okay, guys. I see some hands being raised. Definitely, Varun and Alok, I will definitely come to your questions for sure towards the end of this session. And just keep your questions ready. We will go through all of them. All right. Okay. So now let's dive into risk management. Okay, this is a huge part in crypto futures trading that I want everybody here to understand. Now, I know this may not sound as exciting as, finding the perfect entry point or catching the next breakout, but honestly, this is where most traders win or lose in the long run. Okay. See, the thing in futures trading is the upside can be massive. I've seen how massive it can be, especially with tools like leverage, but so can the downside. Okay, one bad trade without proper risk management can wipe out a huge chunk of your money or even all of it, like when I mentioned about liquidation, right? So let me just break down some of the key concepts when it comes to risk management and how to use them when building your strategy. All right. Let's start with one of the most essential tools, I would say, the stop loss. Okay. A stop loss is basically your emergency exit, as we discussed earlier. Okay. If the market goes against you and you're willing to take this small loss, but there will be no more. All right. That's where the stop loss will be triggered. So always remember, the whole point of a stop loss is to prevent a small mistake from becoming a huge one. All right. Remember, losses are part of trading, but big avoidable losses, that's where, your account gets absolutely wrecked. All right. Flip side, like I mentioned earlier, it's the take profit level. Now, take profit levels are really, which is, it can happen to the best of traders, right? But this is an automated tool and you have a strategy in place. So it's going to help you trade objectively and definitely not emotionally, right? Now let's talk about the big one. Let's talk about leverage. We touched on this earlier, but just to recap, leverage lets you control a bigger position with less money. Okay, so if you are using 10x leverage, your $100 effectively turns into $1,000. Yeah, I know that sounds amazing, bigger profits as well, but like I said, the risk is also multiplied, right? With 10x leverage, if the market moves just 10%, just remember that, just 10% against you, you will lose your entire $100. Then that is liquidation. Okay, that's why you should always match your leverage to your experience level and your risk tolerance. Okay. For beginners now, I will always recommend starting with low leverage, 2x and maximum 5x until you're comfortable. All right. Leverage is it's a double-edged sword. Just remember that. But if you use it in a strategic way, it's a huge and very helpful tool for traders, especially in crypto, right? Now, the next point I want to discuss is position sizing. Now, this is actually often overlooked, but it's actually super, super important. Position sizing is basically all about how much of your capital you put into a trade. All right. So let's say you have $1,000 in your trading account. That doesn't mean you should be throwing the full $1,000 into every trade. Most professional traders will only risk 1 to 2% maximum of their capital in any single trade. So if you're risking 2% on a trade, that is $20, right? Now combine that with a stop loss, you've got that safety net. You know upfront, the worst I can lose on this trade is how much? $20, right? That's how you actually stay in the game, even when a few trades don't actually go your way. All right. Now, finally, I want to discuss something that I think is very, very useful, and I think everybody in this session should utilize. Uh, it's called a to reward ratio. Okay. This helps you basically understand how much am I risking versus how much can I potentially profit. So let me use a simple example here. You enter a trade at $1,000. You set your stop loss at 950. So you're risking basically $50. Okay. Now you set your take profit at $1,100. So your potential gain is $100. Now, if you do the math there, that's a risk to reward ratio of 1 is to 2. You're risking $1 to make $2. Okay. So now here's the magic, right? Even if you lose half your trades, you can still be profitable as long as your winners are bigger than your losers. All right. So this is why it's very, very essential to use a risk to reward ratio when actually opening positions. And most professional traders that I know always use this RR, risk to reward ratio, when planning a trade. All right. Now, remember, like I mentioned on Telegram, we do have these future signals. You'll notice that our messages also have the risk to reward ratio in them. So, like I mentioned, for anybody who's just starting out, those the messages that we put on our Crypto Insights channel is is hugely helpful. All right, it's a brilliant way to start your futures trading journey. Right? All right, cool. So let's continue. Cool. So now that we've covered the basics of risk management, I want to actually share something super exciting with you all. Uh, thing is, now at Mudrex, we're constantly working on ways to help traders like you actually fine tune your strategies and have better control of your trades, right? Over the past month, we've worked hard and we've rolled out some new features that I genuinely think they are going to be game changers for traders, especially if you're actively trading futures or even if you're just experimenting with different trading styles. Okay. So let me just walk you through some of these updates that we have on our app, and it's live now as well. Okay. So first up, we've introduced a feature called reverse trade. All right. Now, what does this exactly mean? Imagine you're in a trade and suddenly the market shifts direction against your original position. Maybe you went, let's say, long on Bitcoin, expecting it to rise, but you noticed a sharp drop, and you believe the price is going to actually keep falling instead. Uh, Earlier, your only option would be to close your open position and then open a new trade in the opposite direction manually. Okay, so that takes some time. And in crypto, like I mentioned, it moves fast. So every second will count. With reverse trades, you basically can flip your position instantly. So you can go from long to short instantly. One tap and it's done, right? The system will automatically close your original position and opens an equivalent position in the opposite direction. So this is hugely useful. It will save precious time. It reduces also manual errors, and it lets you quickly react to sudden changes in the market. Okay. Um, so if you're someone who actually likes to stay nimble, a reverse trade can be a lifesaver, all right? So that is one of the features. The next big update is also how you can set up your take profit and your stop loss levels. So earlier in Mudrex, you could set your TP and SL using percentage change from your entry price. So for example, you might say, I'll exit the trade if the price drops 5%, or I'll take profits if it rises 8%, right? That worked well, but we realized that traders often think about their targets in other ways too, right? So now we've added two more ways for you to actually define your risk and reward targets. Firstly, we have by ROI percentage change. So basically, this lets you set your targets based on the percentage returns on your capital. Let's say you've opened a futures position and you want to secure a 20% ROI on your return on investment. Now you can actually set your take profit to trigger precisely when your profit hits that 20% mark, regardless of what the actual price movement is. Okay. Um, the second new option is that you can set your TP and SL based on exact profit or loss amounts. So the dollar amount, right? Um, Instead of percentages, you can now say, I want to lock in $10 in profit, or I'm willing to lose $5 on this trade, right? So this is super practical because sometimes we think about trades in real money terms. We know the exact amount we're comfortable risking or the profit target that makes it worth the effort, right? So this added flexibility means you can actually now fine tune your trades in a way that matches your strategy, your goals, and your psychological comfort zones as well. All right. Um, the last feature I want to talk about today is something that a lot of traders have been asking for, and we are actually very thrilled to finally offer it. It's a partial close. Previously, whenever you wanted to exit a trade, you'd have to close the entire position, right? For example, if you're holding zero point 0.5 Solana in a futures trade, your only option was to keep the whole trade running or exit the full 0.5%, 0.5 Sol, right? But honestly, trading isn't that black and white, right? There are plenty of scenarios where you might want to just lock in a portion of those profits, but leave the rest of the trade running in case the market keeps moving in your favor, right? So basically, now with partial close, you can choose to close only a portion of your position. So let's say you're long on Solana with one sole position. Solana pumps, goes up, and you want to secure half your gains. So now you can actually close 0.5 Sol and keep the other 0.5 Sol open. Okay. So partial close is a huge feature. It's a fantastic feature for anyone who wants to trade much more strategically and flexibly as well. Um, it's just all about being able to adjust your position and exposure as the market actually moves, rather than being forced into all or nothing sort of scenario. All right, cool. All right, so let's continue. And yeah, now, we've talked about what a trading strategy is and why you need one. Now, let's actually break down how to create your own trading strategy step by step. Okay. This is where I think things get personal, because a strategy is definitely not one size fits all. It has to fit your lifestyle, your goals, your mindset. Okay. So let's actually go through the building blocks one by one. Okay. Number one, you have to be able to define your trading strategy. Ask yourself these three important questions. How much time can I actually dedicate to trading? Second, how comfortable am I with taking risks? Three, do I prefer quick wins, or can I stay patient over weeks or months? Right? Now, based on your answers, you will likely fall into one of these three categories. There is one which is a day trading. You're basically entering a position and exiting a position on the same day. This style requires a lot of monitoring. You'll have to make decisions very fast, and there's a lot of screen time. Okay. Uh, then there comes swing trading. Here, you're basically holding positions for a few days or maybe even a couple of weeks. You're catching trends or price swings. It's less intense than day trading, but still requires regular check-ins. Then comes position trading. Okay. This, I would say, is more like investing. You're entering trades that could last weeks, months. All right. This works well for people who don't want to check the charts every day and are okay, riding out short-term volatility for bigger long-term gains. Okay. Now there's definitely no right or wrong answers here. It depends again on your personality, your time availability as well. But pick a style that matches you, right? Pick a style that would fall under these three categories, right? But firstly, I would encourage you all to answer those three questions critically, all right? And then pick one of the categories, right? Once you know what type of trader you are, the next step is to pick the tools that will help you analyze and decide when to enter and exit trades. Okay, I'm going to break this down into 2 points. There is technical tools, then there's also the fundamental tools. And I think equally, both of these need to be, the importance needs to be the same for both of these. All right. Now, the technical tools, like I said, RSI is one. I do encourage you all to just keep a note of all of the tools that I'm going to be talking about. RSI is one. MACD, which is basically moving average, convergence, and divergence. Then comes moving averages. Then comes trend lines. So basically support and resistance. And finally, for more advanced traders, there is a tool called Fibonacci levels. Okay. Basically, these help you predict potential retracement zones, especially very, very useful in trending markets. Okay. Now, if you're a fundamental style trader, there are some channels that I will definitely recommend. All right. Follow crypto news on Twitter, Telegram groups, and platforms like CoinDesk. You can follow our Mudrex Learn platform. Uh, and then there are platforms like the Block as well. Okay. Now comes on-chain data. This one is a very, very crucial one. This will give you huge insights into whether a specific cryptocurrency is performing well or has potential to perform well. Okay. Now, the two platforms that I would highly recommend is one, DeFi Llama, and the other one being Artemis. All right. In fact, I think what I can do is I can go onto one of these platforms and show you real time what and how these platforms actually look like. So let me go ahead and share my screen so that you guys will be able to see this. All right. Okay, so now I am on Artemis. Okay, this is an on-chain analysis tool, basically like doing fundamental analysis on a coin. Uh, Let me go. The first thing you'll have to do here is go to chain compare. And right now I have Solana, and I've been doing a little bit of analysis on Solana. And let's take let's take a comparison with Sui. Okay. Now what we can see here is that Solana's activity is so much more higher than Sui's. All right. And it's not to say that Sui has a growing network, does not have a growing network, definitely does. But you can see the rate of growth, right? So, for example, daily active addresses on Solana last year was 1.4 million. So every day people were interacting on the Solana network 1.4 million times, right? And if you see today, that number has shot up to 4.2 million. All right. So you can see the massive jump there. That basically shows something called network effect. Now, similarly, daily active addresses is one, but there's also daily transactions. Now, if you see daily transactions on Solana, last year it was 64.1 million. Every day there were this many transactions happening on this network. Now, if you look here, we can see that it's over 104 million. So despite price being in the range of around 150 or so over the past year, what we're seeing is that there is huge activity taking place on the network, right? And usually this is a front-running indicator, meaning that prices will always follow after what we're seeing over here. This has always been the case historically as well. All right. So that is something that I definitely want you all to check out. Artemis is this platform, and the other platform is called DeFi Llama. I'll show that as well. So DeFi Llama, you'll be able to see some other metrics here as well. All right. Cool. So let's go back to the presentation. Cool. Okay. So the key here, like I was mentioning earlier as well, is you need to know these two, three tools. All right. These two, three tools will be very decisive for your trading strategy. Uh, Now, I know we already spent some time discussing risk management, but let's just bring it back in the context of strategy building. Okay. This is where you decide how much you're willing to risk on each trade, and that decision becomes part of your entire plan, basically. Uh, Now, here are some few golden rules. All right. Never ever risk more than 1 to 2% of your total capital on a single trade. Like I mentioned, okay. So if you have $1,000 in your trading account, your maximum loss on any trade should be 10 to $20. Okay. Next, use a stop loss on every single trade. This will protect you in the long term. Okay. Plan your position size based on your risk tolerance and the distance between your entry and your stop loss. Okay. Uh, so yeah, putting it all together, let's say, let's just say you're building your own strategy. This is how it might look. You decide to become a swing trader. You can check charts maybe once or twice a day. You use RSI and support slash, resistance levels to find these trade setups. Now, you only take trades with a risk to reward ratio of at least 1 is to 2. You risk 1.5% of your money per trade and you always use a stop loss. Now, that right there, those 4 points right there, that's a complete trading strategy. It's simple, you can repeat it, and most importantly, it should match your trading style. Okay. Uh, Now, honestly, the best part, as you gain experience, you can actually refine and adjust this strategy as well. No strategy is perfect from day one, but just having a basic and structured approach will instantly put you ahead of most beginner traders. Okay. All right. Okay, so now before we wrap up and we actually get into the questions, I want to share a little bit about my personal trading strategy, just to give you an idea of how all these concepts come together in a real world scenario. So my strategy is a hybrid, right? I don't rely just on one thing. I look at the markets from multiple angles before I actually place a trade. First off, of course, I use technical analysis. This includes usual, suspects like support and resistance, RSI, moving averages, and sometimes trend-based tools like Fibonacci levels as well. Uh, so this helps me identify where to get into a trade, where to set up my stop loss, and where to take profits as well. But of course, I do not stop here because I've learned that purely relying on charts, especially in crypto, can sometimes give you a very limited view of things and perspective, basically. So I also pay very, very close attention to on-chain data, which I was talking about earlier. Okay. So I look at things like exchange inflows and outflows, wallet activity, and also supply held by long-term holders. Okay. These data points basically can tell you what's happening behind the scenes. So for example, if Bitcoin's price is dropping suddenly, but whales are actually, buying up Bitcoin, that will signal a huge bullish reversal to me, right? Now, like the tools that I use, like I mentioned, DeFi Llama and Artemis are the tools that I usually use. But I also have used tools like Dune Analytics and Crypto Quant as well for any sort of analysis. All right. I hope you guys have been taking down notes for this. In the Q&A as well, if you want me to go over some of these websites, I will be more than happy to do that. All right. Okay. And lastly, of course, I factor in macro news. All right. Crypto obviously doesn't exist in a vacuum. When there is some sort of major news or geopolitical macroeconomic news that happens, they will 100% impact crypto markets. Okay. So make it a point to just stay updated. I follow major crypto and financial news sources, and I always check what's happening globally before making any sort of high trades or high leverage trades. Um, so yeah, now when it comes to which assets I trade, right? I like to keep it simple. Uh, and I'm only talking about futures trading here. I do have a long-term portfolio as well. But when it comes to futures trading, I mostly stick to the big players like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana. These have usually high liquidity, much better volume, which makes them ideal for futures trading. Plus, they also tend to move in a more predictable way compared to smaller altcoins. Um, Now, see, this doesn't mean that there's no opportunity in these smaller caps. There is, but I prefer to allocate the majority of my money to assets I trust more and that have a stronger long-term sort of narrative. Okay. So, yeah, I would say that is my approach. And if there is any sort of takeaway that I can leave you with, it's that your strategy doesn't need to be overly complex. Okay. It just needs to be consistent and it needs to be aligned with your personality and your goals. Okay. Okay, folks. So before we just jump into the Q&A and I start taking your questions, I just want to quickly share something special that we at Mudrex do for our community on these sessions. Uh, we really believe in making it easier for everybody to start trading crypto. So as a small thank you for being part of this session this afternoon, we've got an exclusive offer for first-time users. So basically, if you're new to Mudrex and you invest 5,000 rupees or more on the platform, we'll be adding 500 worth of Bitcoin into your account fully on us. All right. All you have to do is use the code you see on the screen here, Anush500, when you make your first investment. Okay. It's a super simple way to get a little extra Bitcoin into your portfolio. All right. Perfect. Okay, folks. So I think what we can do now is let's go ahead and actually open the floor for some questions. Remember, you can either raise your hand and I'll unmute you, or if you'd like, you can also drop your messages in the Q&A box, and I will definitely look into all of these questions. All right. So let me just open up the Q&A box firstly. Uh, Okay. So the first question I'm getting here. All right. So can you explain the trading strategies? How much do you earn every day? All right. So like I mentioned, my trading strategy is pretty conservative. I do not dabble into as many small altcoins. While I do have some altcoins in my long-term portfolio, I tend to usually trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Sol every week. Now, in terms of profits, or how much returns I can expect, it really depends on the leverage that I'm taking. But usually I settle for anything between 15 to 20% profit, and I will be happy with those sort of returns uh, week on week. But of course, it just depends on how the market moves, and I'm not saying that these profits are guaranteed. All right. Okay. Okay, Mr. Perfect, I see that you have your hand raised. Please go ahead and ask your questions. I have unmuted you.
सर मेरी आवाज आ रही है आप तक? हेलो
Yeah,
हेलो.
yeah, I can hear you.
हाँ, ओके ओके सर. तो मैं एक छोटा सा क्वेश्चन था मेरा. मैं मुद्रिक्स में रेगुलर ट्रेडिंग कर रहा हूँ बहुत दिनों से. ओके.
Okay,
हाँ, तो मैंने आज फ्यूचर्स में ट्रेड किया सुबह. वहाँ पे
okay.
अपने को एक ऑप्शन होता है परसेंटेज चेंज करके, है ना?
Yes, correct.
हाँ, तो वहाँ पे आज वी आई सी यूएसटी करके कॉइन था, आपको पता होगा शायद से वी आई सी.
Yeah, yeah.
हाँ, बूमिंग था सर आज, वो बहुत बूम था, है ना?
Yes, yes,
तो मैंने
correct.
वहाँ पे है तो मैंने वहाँ पे उसको बाय किया. ओके ना?
Okay.
हाँ, मैंने बाय का ऑर्डर किया, लेकिन सर मेरा एग्जीक्यूट जो ऑर्डर हुआ सेल में हुआ ऑटोमेटिकली, और मुझे मतलब 2-3 बार, है ना, फ्रिक्वेंटली
Yeah.
लॉस हुआ.
Okay. Okay.
हाँ,
Got it.
तो थोड़ा फियर सा हो गया सर मुद्रेक्स को लेके. ऐसा पहले कभी नहीं हुआ मेरे साथ, लेकिन आज ही हुआ, है ना?
Okay.
हाँ, मैं फ्यूचर्स में डेली ट्रेड करता हूँ, है ना?
Okay.
तो मुझे समझ में नहीं आया ऐसा क्यों हुआ. वीआईसी में मैंने बाय लिया था, लेकिन जब मैंने ऑर्डर क्लोज पोजीशन
Hmm.
किया तो लेकिन मेरा लॉस दिखा रहा है ना.
Okay. Understood.
हाँ.
Okay.
या
So
मैंने.
I think what
यस सर.
might have happened here is, see, VIC, I know today, I think it is up over 90%, right?
यस
Uh,
यस.
and sometimes what happens in these are very small cap coins, okay? So
ओके.
there is a lot of volatility in these coins, all right? All
यस.
very volatile means, I mean, every minute there'll be huge fluctuations in price, all right?
यस.
And usually what we do is we put a disclaimer for any of these coins that have, low volume plus also very volatile. Okay.
या आई नो इट्स रिस्की फॉर ट्रेडिंग. आई नो. आई प्रेफर
Yeah.
दैट रिस्क. ओके. मैंने पहले भी ऐसे किया हुआ है सर, लेकिन आज जो मैंने ट्रेड लिया ना, मेरा कहना ये था कि मैंने बाय में लिया. ओके.
Okay. Got it. Okay. So I think
वो थोड़ा सा मुझे अनकंफर्टेबल लगा, है ना?
got it. Got it. So I think was your stop loss and take profit everything in place?
यस यस सर. मैंने स्टॉप लॉस और टारगेट में हर एक ट्रेड पे होता है मेरा, है ना?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, can you just send me a message because I will check this personally. I will go ahead and talk to the tech team to see if there's any sort of issues that you have faced in the past also, so that you don't face any sort of issues moving forward as well. If you are on my on the Telegram community, right, you will be able to find me in the admin section. Okay, just go ahead and drop me a personal message. You can put me send a DM to me, and I will try and resolve this personally. All right. Okay. Okay. So I have some other. Okay, Varun has asked in the Telegram channel, will we get daily signals? Yeah, so Varun, you will get 3 signals every day. So including the weekends, you will get 3 different coins, and basically it will tell you the entry point, when to take your take profit, and when to take like what stop loss you should use, what leverage, everything will be in that. So yeah, please do, if you haven't already, join the Telegram channel. Okay. All right, guys, you can also ask me any questions you want on certain coins that you might be looking at, but you don't really too sure about. I can definitely look into some on-chain charts and help out also. Okay, so yeah, it can be any coin. We can discuss portfolio as well. Okay, so let me just send the Telegram link to you. I am sending this Telegram link across. Join that link and you will be able to see the admins. So once you see the admins, my name will be there, Anush will be there, and you can just DM me. Okay. Okay. Guys, any other questions on futures, on spot? We have about 10 to 15 minutes remaining. So feel free to ask anything. Okay, I see some questions on meme coins. Um, All right, yeah. So meme coins right now are definitely rallying. If you see the highest sector returns in the past 24 hours, it's definitely been memes and primarily meme coins on Solana. So yeah, that's a narrative if you are paying attention to. Uh, Fantastic. But just remember that meme coins are highly, highly volatile, very risky because they will have these huge spikes in a 24-hour time period, but equally they will drop much, much faster than other utility coins like, Ethereum, Solana, whatnot, right? So just remember that, all right? Be safe while trading these memes. Yes, so you can just post your query on the. Let me also actually send you one more link, and I hope you'll be able to text there. Let me give you access to this link. Okay, I'm sending this to you. This is our community. So basically, if you join this link, this is our general community. So if you have any queries, any sort of questions, you can just type in the message there and our community manager will help you out. All right. Okay. Roshan has asked about Floki. All right. So Floki is another, actually one of the large cap uh, meme coins. I think it's based on Ethereum. So Floki, I would say just make sure that these memes aren't, you need to treat them as they are. Okay, they do not have any sort of real world use case. But that said, some of these coins have a huge community. All right, massive, massive community. So think of it like that, because usually meme coins are based on an attention narrative. If there is attention on that meme, you will definitely find some sort of value or appreciation in that token. But like I mentioned, these memes will often drastically come down just as quick as they shoot up. Okay, so just remember that. And I will say personally, I do hold a few meme coins in my long-term portfolio, but these are coins that I typically rotate out of, and I put, if I do get a profit on these memes, I usually put them back into um, solid projects. Like I will put them back into Solana or other ecosystem tokens that I believe in, like some DeFi coins or something, some utility. Right? So that's what I would. Okay, so Okay, Varun, you don't seem to find this. I hope this was this correct link that you joined, because Crypto Insights, Mudrex Crypto Insights is the channel where we post every day futures trading signals. Even the last message, in fact, you would see a futures trade alert on Bitcoin. Um, so I hope that was the correct link that you joined. I've sent it again, anyhow, privately to you. Yeah, I see some folks joining in to the Crypto Insights channel. Great. Uh, so basically, we have these two different channels. There is the general channel. If you have any doubts regarding the platform, you can ask your questions there. The Crypto Insights channel is for these trade ideas. All right. Okay. Uh, all right. I see more question on memes. I see meme coins are pretty popular. Okay. Okay, so I see a question on WLF. Okay, World Liberty. All right, yeah. So these have been launched on some dexes, but we are definitely looking into this coin. Of course, we only list coins after doing a proper vetting procedure. We have a team who does that. So once again, follow our Telegram channel, because that's exactly when you'll get to hear about new listings, uh, and also our Twitter channel. Follow these channels, because you'll be the first to know when this token will be ready and listed on our platform. All right, we're definitely looking at it though. Okay. All right, folks, if there isn't any other questions, uh, remember that this Thursday we will have a crypto futures live trading session. All right. This is going to be hosted on our Telegram channel, and we do this every week, right? So usually I will be there and my co-host will be there, and we will pick a narrative or a sector that we think you guys should keep an eye on, and we will actually place trades live on air, okay, so that you can see how futures trading is done on our app. All right. So I highly recommend you guys to join that, because this is going to be for everybody. It's going to be for beginners. It's going to be for some pro traders as well. We'll show you the strategies that we are, looking at when placing those trades, and where we think some coins are actually heading. Okay. So Thursday, 8 p.m. Join us. But before that, join our Telegram so that you get all of the notifications there. All right. Um, okay, folks, on that note, I think can end the stream for this week. Also, remember, guys, that I will be back for another Learn with Mudrex session. It's going to be on Thursday this time. It's going to be a weekly brief. This will usually take place around 4 p.m. And the weekly brief, I will discuss all of the major news that happened over the past week. And also, I will discuss some coins that I am super, super bullish on, because I do believe that this month is going to be extremely crucial for the crypto markets. All right. This quarter itself. So, July, August, and September is going to be absolutely pivotal for crypto. All right. Okay, folks, I think on that note, we can end this stream. Just like to say thanks again, and I will see you all on Thursday. All right, folks, have a great rest of the Monday. Bye-bye.
Crypto products and NFTs are unregulated and can be highly risky. There may be no regulatory recourse for any loss from such transactions. For any queries, contact us at help@mudrex.com.